Coming in at number 1, Police Simulator Patrol Officers offers the most grounded depiction of daily police work currently available on the console market, focusing on procedure rather than constant action. You start your career issuing parking tickets and handling minor traffic violations in the fictional city of Brighton, before slowly graduating to more serious crimes. The game emphasizes following the rule of the book strictly, because penalizing citizens without probable cause will damage your conduct points and stall your career progression significantly. You must use your intuition to spot drunk drivers, drug dealers, and wanted suspects while managing your shift time effectively. It is a slow burn experience that simulates the mundane yet essential aspects of the job. Taking the second spot, the Precinct brings a top-down perspective to law enforcement that feels like a modern love letter to classic police movies from the 1980s, with neon lights and synth music. You play as a rookie officer named Nick Cordell Jr., who is trying to clean up a city rampant with corruption while solving the mystery of his father's murder. The gameplay features procedural crimes that can happen anywhere, requiring you to respond to bank heists and street fights dynamically, while calling in backup like helicopters and SWAT vans. The driving mechanics are arcade-style and incredibly satisfying, allowing for high-speed chases through destructible environments. It balances narrative depth with an open-world sandbox where the city feels alive and dangerous. At number 3, Contraband Police puts you in the boots of a border patrol inspector in a communist country during the early 80s, where every decision could impact the stability of the nation. Your main duty involves checking vehicles for smuggled goods and verifying documents, which requires a keen eye for discrepancies and a thorough knowledge of the ever-changing entry regulations. The game mixes simulation elements with FPS combat and driving, as you sometimes have to chase down runners or defend your outpost from rebel attacks. You also manage your station, upgrading facilities and hiring staff to improve efficiency, while dealing with moral dilemmas involving desperate travelers. It is a tense and atmospheric mix of paperwork and action that keeps you on edge. Landing at number 4, RoboCop Rogue City captures the power fantasy of being the ultimate law enforcement officer in a crime-ridden Detroit that looks and feels exactly like the classic films. You stomp through the streets as Alex Murphy, using your Auto 9 pistol to dismember criminals in gruesome detail, while also engaging in detective work to solve murders and uncover corporate conspiracies. The game features a surprising amount of RPG elements, allowing you to upgrade your combat abilities and even influence the story through dialogue choices that affect public trust. The shooting mechanics are heavy and impactful, emphasizing your tank-like durability against hordes of thugs. It is a faithful adaptation that respects the source material while delivering solid FPS gameplay. Number 5 is Ready or Not, which delivers an uncompromisingly realistic tactical shooter experience that demands teamwork and precise execution from every member of your SWAT unit. You are tasked with defusing hostile situations, ranging from active shooters to bomb threats, where the rules of engagement must be followed strictly to avoid civilian casualties. The game features a complex command system that lets you order your AI teammates to breach doors, clear rooms, and secure suspects, using a variety of lethal and non-lethal equipment. The atmosphere is tense and often disturbing, highlighting the gritty reality of special weapons and tactics operations without glorifying the violence. It is a hardcore simulation where a single mistake results in mission failure. For number 6, Shadows of Doubt offers a completely procedurally generated sandbox detective stealth game where you can investigate any citizen in a fully simulated sci-fi noir city. You play as a private investigator who must solve murders by gathering evidence, tracking suspects, and connecting clues on your caseboard without any handholding. Every person in the city has a name, a job, a daily routine, and a home address, meaning you can follow them, break into their apartments, and hack their emails to find the truth. The game allows for immense freedom in how you approach cases, whether through stealth, social engineering, or brute force. It is an ambitious and immersive simulation that makes you feel like a true detective, piecing together complex mysteries. Number 7, This Is the Police 2 blends strategy, management, and visual novel storytelling to create a grim look at the difficulties of running a sheriff's department in a cold frontier town. You play as a fugitive sheriff who must manage his officers, assigned shifts, and resources while dealing with the demands of the townspeople and corrupt officials. The gameplay involves sending units to answer emergency calls, where the skills and equipment of your officers determine the outcome of the situation, often requiring tough tactical decisions. The narrative is dark and mature, exploring themes of corruption and survival in an unforgiving environment. It challenges you to balance your moral compass against the practical need to keep your department funded and operational. Coming in at number 8, Beat Cop is a retro-style adventure that simulates the life of a street cop in 1980s New York with a heavy dose of humor and pop culture references. You play as Jack Kelly, a detective framed for murder who is demoted to patrol duty and must clear his name while meeting his daily ticket quotas. The gameplay revolves around managing your time on the beat, dealing with local gangs, and making choices that affect your relationship with the crew, the mob, and the community. The pixel art style is charming and detailed, capturing the gritty vibe of the era perfectly, while the writing keeps the tone lighthearted despite the crime themes. It offers a unique mix of point-and-click mechanics and time management that is very engaging. At number 9, 112 Operator takes the simulation to the dispatch center, where you are responsible for managing emergency services across real-world city maps using OpenStreetMap data. You must answer calls from citizens, deciding whether to send police, fire, or medical units based on the severity of the situation and the resources you have available. The game introduces larger-scale incidents, like riots and natural disasters, that require you to coordinate multiple units and manage chaos spreading across the city. The campaign mode adds a story layer, while the free play mode lets you protect your own hometown or any city you choose. It is a strategic and educational game that highlights the high-pressure nature of emergency dispatch work. Number 10, LA Noire remains a masterpiece of the detective genre, using revolutionary facial animation technology to make interrogations a core gameplay mechanic that has yet to be matched. You play as Cole Phelps, a World War II veteran climbing the ranks of the Los Angeles Police Department in the late 1940s, solving cases inspired by real-life crimes. The gameplay involves searching crime scenes for clues and questioning witnesses, where you must read their facial expressions to determine if they are lying or hiding something. The recreation of post-war Los Angeles is incredibly detailed and atmospheric, providing a perfect backdrop for the noir story. It is a slow-paced and cinematic experience that focuses heavily on deduction and narrative. Landing at number 11, Disco Elysium: The Final Cut is a groundbreaking role-playing game that puts you in the shoes of an amnesiac detective trying to solve a murder in a fictional city recovering from war. There is no traditional combat. Instead, the conflict takes place inside your head as different aspects of your psyche argue with each other and influence your actions. You can shape your character into a brilliant deductionist, a physical powerhouse, or a complete disaster of a human being, depending on the skills you upgrade and the choices you make. The writing is philosophical, political, and deeply emotional, offering a narrative depth that is rare in video games. It redefines what a detective game can be by focusing on the internal struggle of the investigator. Number 12, Judgment spins off from the Yakuza series, putting you in the role of Takayuki Yagami, a disgraced lawyer turned private detective fighting for justice in the streets of Kamurocho. The gameplay mixes the high-octane martial arts combat of the main series with new investigative mechanics, like tailing suspects, chasing them down on foot, and using drones to gather evidence. The story is a gripping legal thriller that dives deep into the criminal underworld and the corruption within the justice system, keeping you hooked with its twists and turns. You also get to engage in a variety of side cases and minigames that add flavor to the world and the character. It is a perfect blend of serious crime drama and over-the-top action. At number 13, Lost Judgment continues the story of Yagami as he tackles a dark and complex case involving bullying and a murder that the law seems unable to punish. This sequel refines the combat and investigation mechanics, introducing new fighting styles and gadgets that make the detective work feel more varied and interactive. The narrative is even darker than the first game, exploring the gray areas of justice and the lengths people will go to for revenge. The setting expands to the district of Isazaki Ijincho, giving you a new playground to explore and new school stories to uncover. It delivers a powerful cinematic experience with top-tier voice acting and motion capture that brings the characters to life. Number 14, Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition is an open-world action game that casts you as Wei Shen, an undercover cop infiltrating the Sunanyi Triad in Hong Kong. The game distinguishes itself with a heavy focus on martial arts combat that utilizes the environment for brutal takedowns and a parkour system for traversing the dense urban jungle. The story explores the psychological toll of deep cover work as Wei struggles to maintain his loyalty to the badge while bonding with the criminals he is meant to take down. The recreation of Hong Kong is vibrant and atmospheric, filled with night markets and neon signs that create a unique setting. It remains one of the best undercover cop stories in gaming, blending cinematic action with emotional stakes. Coming in at number 15, Detroit Become Human presents a branching narrative set in a near future where androids have become a common part of society and are beginning to gain sentience. One of the 3 playable protagonists is Connor, a prototype police android tasked with hunting down deviants who have broken their programming. The gameplay focuses on investigation and dialogue choices, where your decisions can lead to the permanent death of characters and drastically different endings. You reconstruct crime scenes using advanced technology and negotiate with suspects in tense standoff situations. The game explores themes of discrimination and what it means to be human through a highly cinematic lens. It is a visually stunning experience that puts the story in your hands. Number 16, Alan Wake 2, is a survival horror game that features dual protagonists, one of whom is Saga Anderson, an FBI agent investigating a series of ritualistic murders in the Pacific Northwest. Saga sections focus heavily on detective work, using a mechanic called the Mind Place, where you organize clues and profile suspects to deduce the truth behind the cult activity. The atmosphere is terrifying and surreal, blending psychological horror with live-action elements to create a unique narrative experience. The combat is desperate and intense, requiring you to use light and firearms to survive against the shadow monsters. It is a masterful blend of horror and investigation that pushes the boundaries of storytelling in games. At number 17, The Wolf Among Us 2 brings back Bigby Wolf, the sheriff of Fabletown, in a noir mystery set in a world where fairy tale characters live in secret among humans. The game continues the episodic narrative format, focusing on dialogue choices and quick-time events that determine how the story unfolds and how other characters perceive you. You must balance your aggressive wolf nature with the need to be a protector, investigating crimes that threaten the safety of the community. The cel-shaded art style creates a living comic book look that is stylish and dark, perfectly fitting the hard-boiled detective tone. It promises to deliver another gripping mystery, filled with memorable characters and tough moral choices. Number 18, Sherlock Holmes The Awakened is a remake that combines the classic deduction gameplay of the series with Lovecraftian horror elements, sending the famous detective into the brink of madness. You play as a young Sherlock who teams up with John Watson to investigate a series of disappearances that lead them to a dark cult worshipping an ancient god. The gameplay involves exploring semi-open environments, gathering evidence, and connecting nodes in your mind palace to form conclusions. The shift to a darker horror theme adds a new layer of tension to the investigation, challenging Sherlock's rationality against the impossible. It is a compelling reimagining that explores the bond between the two partners. Landing at number 19, Blacksad Under the Skin is an adaptation of the acclaimed comic book series, featuring an anthropomorphic black cat detective investigating a suspicious suicide in 1950s New York. The game captures the noir atmosphere of the source material perfectly, with a moody jazz soundtrack and beautiful character designs that fit the era. The gameplay is narrative-driven, focusing on exploration, interrogation, and making choices that shape the protagonist. You must use your feline senses to spot details that others might miss, and piece together the clues to uncover a deep web of corruption. It is a slow-paced character study that will appeal to fans of classic adventure games and noir fiction. Number 20, Chicken Police Paint It Red is a wildly unique noir adventure with a visual style that combines photorealistic animal heads with human bodies in black and white. You play as Sonny Featherland, a legendary detective who is days away from retirement when he is pulled back into action for one last case with his estranged partner. The gameplay is a mix of visual novel and point-and-click adventure, featuring extensive voice acting and a script that is both funny and hard-boiled. The interrogation system is a highlight, requiring you to read the personality of the suspect and choose the right approach to break them. It is a stylish and memorable game that pays homage to film noir while creating a world of its own. At number 21, Murdered Soul Suspect offers a supernatural twist on the police procedural by casting you as Ronan O'Connor, a detective who must solve his own murder from the afterlife. As a ghost, you cannot interact with the physical world directly, but you can possess people to read their minds and influence their actions to gather clues. The investigation involves exploring the town of Salem and using your spectral abilities to uncover the secrets of the Bell Killer while avoiding demonic spirits. The story is emotional and intriguing, exploring the history of the town and the unresolved business of its ghostly inhabitants. It provides a fresh perspective on detective gameplay by removing the physical barriers of traditional investigation. Number 22, Observer System Redux is a cyberpunk horror game where you play as Daniel Lazarski, a neural detective who can hack into the minds of suspects to extract information. Set in a dark dystopian Krakow, the game explores themes of transhumanism and corporate control through a disturbing and psychedelic visual style. The gameplay involves investigating crime scenes using forensic vision modes and navigating the nightmarish dreamscapes of the people you hack. The story is personal and gripping, driven by the performance of the late Rutger Hauer, who voices the protagonist. It is an intense and atmospheric experience that blends sci-fi noir with psychological horror effectively. Coming in at number 23, LEGO City Undercover is an open-world action-adventure that acts as a family-friendly version of GTA, where you play as police officer Chase McCain. You explore the massive LEGO city, chasing down criminals and using different disguises to gain new abilities and access hidden areas. The gameplay is filled with humor and charm, featuring plenty of vehicle chases, platforming sections, and light combat that is fun for all ages. The world is packed with collectibles and references to classic cop movies that adults will appreciate, while kids enjoy the chaos. It is a delightful sandbox game that proves being on the right side of the law can be just as fun as breaking it. Number 24, Resident Evil 2 is a survival horror masterpiece that features Leon S. Kennedy, a rookie police officer on his very first day of duty during a zombie outbreak. The game takes place primarily in the Raccoon City police station, which has been overrun by the undead and turned into a labyrinth of puzzles and locked doors. You must manage your limited ammunition and healing items while solving environmental puzzles and fighting off terrifying creatures. The atmosphere is claustrophobic and tense, with incredible sound design that makes every footstep echo in the empty halls. It is a definitive survival horror experience that perfectly captures the feeling of a police officer completely out of his depth. Finally, at number 25, Battlefield Hardline shifts the focus of the series from military warfare to the war on crime, delivering a TV show-style police drama campaign. You play as Nick Mendoza, a Miami detective caught up in a drug war that spans across the country, featuring high-speed chases and large-scale shootouts. The multiplayer introduces modes like Heist and Hotwire that emphasize vehicle combat and objective-based gameplay between cops and criminals. The game introduces mechanics like arresting enemies and using a scanner to tag targets, encouraging a more tactical approach than standard shooters. It offers a unique flavor within the franchise that provides plenty of action movie moments.